Do you remember that specific low-grade anxiety of sitting way too close to the television as a kid?
Oh, totally.
You'd be there cross-legged on the carpet and your nose is practically touching the glass.
Right, and some adult would inevitably shout from the kitchen, "Back up!" Yeah, if you keep doing that, your eyes are going to turn square.
Exactly. And looking back, it seems almost quaint now, doesn't it? I mean, we were worried about physical proximity to one big, heavy box in the living room.
It's in the pantheon of classic childhood myths, really.
Yeah.
Right next to swallowing a watermelon seed and growing a vine in your stomach.
Or that cracking your knuckles gives you arthritis.
Right, but today the landscape is totally different.
Completely. We aren't just sitting near screens anymore. We're wearing them. We're carrying them in our pockets.
We're scrolling in bed at the dinner table, and let's be honest, in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's a completely different ecosystem.
It really is. We've moved from watching TV as an event to living in this state of constant ambient digital presence.
And it's so easy to fall into what some of the sources call a digital trance.
And while our eyeballs aren't physically reshaping into cubes, thankfully,
Yeah.
the impact on our brains and our bodies and our family dynamics is profound.
And that is exactly what we are here to unpack today in this deep dive.
Right.
We have a massive stack of research on the table. We're talking clinical reports from pediatric associations, neurological studies from Japan and Switzerland.
Some really fascinating stuff in there.
Yeah, and some very practical guides on what happens when we actually hit the power button.
And I think it's important to set the stage here early on. We aren't here to be Luddites.
No, definitely not.
We aren't going to say smash your phone and go live in a cave.
Yeah,
Technology is incredible.
absolutely. But the mission of this deep dive is to look past the myths and rigorously examine the disadvantages, the real developmental and social costs of this dependence.
Precisely. We want to look at the hidden costs.
And then flip the script to look at the advantages of a screen detox. Not just less screen time, but what you actually gain when you disconnect.
Because it's about balance, right? What happens when screens displace other things? What are the biological costs? And crucially, how do we fix it without making our kids hate us?
So let's get right into the heavy stuff, the downsides. I was looking through the research on toddlers, specifically the under 2 crowd, and I hit this term that sounded like a banking error.
Oh, the transfer deficit.
Yeah, transfer deficit. What is actually happening there?
It does sound financial, doesn't it? But transfer deficit is actually this fascinating neurological hurdle.
Okay.
It refers to a specific difficulty that young children, toddlers, really have in taking information they see on a two-dimensional screen and applying it to the three-dimensional real world.
Wait, can we pause on that? Because I see so-called educational apps for 2-year-olds all the time.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
They claim to teach shapes and colors and physics even.
Yeah.
So you're saying if a toddler watches a character stack blocks on an iPad,
They don't actually know how to stack blocks in real life. Yeah, that is exactly what the research suggests. They struggle with it significantly more than if they watched a real person do it right in front of them.
so it's an actual disconnect in the brain.
Right. It's often called the video deficit. Their brains are wired for 3D tactile interaction. They need depth cues.
They need to feel the physical weight of the block.
Exactly. When you flatten that into pixels, they lose the context. So while they might be able to tap the screen to make the cow moo, they aren't necessarily learning what a cow is.
Or how to problem solve in physical space.
Precisely.
So the app is teaching them to be really good at tapping glass, not necessarily understanding the world around them.
In many cases, yes. And the consequences of this deficit accumulate over time. We looked at that major study out of Japan involving nearly 900 children.
Right. They tracked screen time at age 2 and then measured outcomes at age 4.
And the results were stark.
And this wasn't just did they know their ABCs right? We're talking about deeper life skills.
We're talking about communication and daily living skills. The 2-year-olds with higher screen time showed a measurable lag in those basic skills 2 years later.
That's wild.
They were less able to communicate their needs and less able to handle day-to-day tasks compared to their peers who spent less time on screens.
That is a staggering lag when you think about it. We're talking about basic human functioning, and it connects to another term that kept popping up in the sources, the displacement hypothesis.
Right. This is the idea that screens aren't necessarily toxic because they emit some magical radiation.
Right.
They are toxic because they are time thieves.
It's the opportunity cost.
Exactly. Every hour a child spends on a tablet is an hour they are not sleeping.
Or not engaging in physical play.
Or not having face-to-face conversations.
Yeah.
The screen is displacing the physical activities that actually wire the brain for success.
One of the things that really stuck out to me in this displacement category was reading.
Like the e-book studies.
Yeah, because I think a lot of parents, myself included, honestly, have thought, well, reading is reading. If I read a book to a kid on a tablet, it's exactly the same as a paper book.
It seems logical.
But the research says not so much.
It's surprising, but no, it's not the same at all. The medium actually changes the interaction. Studies observe parents sharing e-books versus print books with their kids.
And what was the difference?
With the print book, the parent tends to point at the pictures. They ask questions like, where is the dog? Or what do you think happens next?
It becomes a dialogue.
Right. But with the e-book, the interaction drops off.
Really?
The parent becomes much more passive, almost like they are watching a movie with the child rather than reading to them.
And the child is probably just distracted by all the bells and whistles anyway.
The animations and the sound effects.
Yeah.
If touching the cow makes it moo, the child stops caring about the story completely.
They just want to push the button.
Right. They get focused on the mechanics of the interface rather than the narrative or the vocabulary. So comprehension actually goes down because the fun features are distracting them from the learning.
That makes total sense. We're trading deep understanding for interactive, flashy lights.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears to the physical toll, because this isn't just about brain development. The sources were pretty brutal about the link between screens and our physical health.
Yes, and the most direct link is simply sedentary behavior. It's just the physics of sitting.
More screen time usually means less movement.
Exactly. There is a strong and consistent correlation between high screen time and higher BMI or obesity risk. But it's not just about sitting still. It's about the content, specifically commercials.
Oh, right, the ads.
Even in the age of streaming, kids are exposed to adjure games and marketing for unhealthy foods. It increases their overall food intake.
They see the burger, they want the burger.
Basically, yes. But there is a more insidious physical cost. It affects adults just as much as kids. Sleep.
I feel like this is the one we all know, but we actively ignore.
Oh, we totally ignore it. We know about blue light, right? The light emitted by screens suppresses melatonin, which is the hormone that signals it's time to sleep.
Right.
But the research actually goes deeper.
Yeah.
It's not just the light. It's the stimulation. And here's the really scary part.
Okay.
One study noted that the mere presence of a device in a bedroom, even if it's turned off, is associated with fewer minutes of sleep per night.
Wait, just having it in the room? Like it's haunting you?
Essentially, yes. It's a psychological tether.
Wow.
Your brain knows it's there.
Yeah.
It knows the portal to the world, the texts, the emails, the news, is just 2 feet away on the nightstand.
And that keeps you awake.
It creates a state of low-level alertness, a sort of fight-or-flight readiness that prevents deep restorative rest.
That is wild. It's like sleeping with the front door wide open.
It really is.
But I want to pivot the spotlight for a second here. We've been talking a lot about kids on screens, but the research had some pretty harsh words for the parents, too.
Yes.
There was this concept of technoference.
Technoference is a very real phenomenon. It's when technology interferes with interpersonal relationships.
There was that striking observation in the sources about parents in fast food restaurants.
I think everyone listening has seen this, or let's be honest, been this person.
Totally.
Researchers observed families eating out, and they found that when caregivers were absorbed in their phones, the children were far more likely to act out.
Because they're trying to compete for attention.
Exactly. They escalate their behavior, they throw a fryer, they yell, they spill a drink. They are doing whatever it takes to break the parent's digital trance.
The child sees the parent is physically present, but emotionally absent.
And how do the parents react? Usually poorly.
I can imagine.
Parents report that shifting their attention back and forth, from the work email to the toddler, back to the text, back to the toddler, is deeply stressful.
It's cognitively expensive.
It makes them feel frazzled.
Yeah.
So when they do finally look up, they are much more likely to snap at the child. The quality of the parenting just nosedives.
That is a heavy realization. It's not just quote-unquote kids these days. It's the whole family ecosystem. We are breaking the feedback loop.
We are. And that's why the detox isn't just about taking the iPad away from the kid. It's about the whole unit.
Okay, so we've covered the gloom. We know the transfer deficit, the sleep loss, the technoference. Let's talk about the light at the end of the tunnel.
The good news.
Yes, the advantages of breaking the cycle. The hero of this story seems to be something called green time.
Green time is the perfect counterbalance to screen time. There was a Swiss study involving over 800 children and adolescents that found something really hopeful.
Which was?
Higher green time, meaning time spent out in nature parks, forests, was associated with fewer mental health problems.
So nature isn't just a nice backdrop, it's actually active medicine.
It acts as a buffer. The study suggests nature can actually moderate the negative effects of screens.
Oh, I see.
So if a child has high screen time, but also high green time, the negative impacts are visibly lessened.
That's huge.
And there's a specific psychological component to this called awe.
Awe, like looking at the Grand Canyon.
Exactly. A study in China found that experiencing awe in nature, that feeling of being very small in the presence of something vast, is an actual pathway to reducing internet addiction.
That is fascinating. Why does feeling small help with an addiction to the internet?
Because when you stand next to a giant tree or you look out at the ocean, your self-focus diminishes.
Interesting.
The petty anxieties of social media, the need for, the fear of missing out, they all shrink. You feel connected to something bigger and slower.
So the digital craving fades because the real world just becomes more compelling.
Exactly.
That is profound. It's kind of hard to care about a retweet when you're looking at a waterfall.
Right.
But let's talk about something a little less majestic, but apparently just as important, boredom.
Yes.
The sources seem to celebrate the return of boredom.
We have completely demonized boredom. We treat it like an emergency problem that needs to be solved immediately.
The second a kid whines in a car, we hand them a tablet.
But boredom is actually a vital signal. It tells the brain, I am not satisfied, I need to do something. And that drive fuels creativity and resourcefulness.
So when we soothe them instantly with a screen, we're actually robbing them.
We're short-circuiting the process. We're robbing them of the chance to come up with their own fun. And there's a neurological aspect here, too.
What's that?
Screen-free time forces the brain to navigate slower processes.
Slower processes like what?
Think about waiting for paint to dry on a craft project, or building a tower of blocks that keeps falling over.
Ah.
These things take patience, so they require sustained focus. Navigating those slow physical processes reinforces executive function.
Makes sense.
If a brain is only trained on rapid-fire short-form videos, the real world feels intolerably slow.
And I imagine that translates to social skills, too. You can't learn to read a person's face if you're only looking at an emoji.
Precisely. Unplug-in fosters empathy. Face-to-face interaction teaches kids to read nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
Tone of voice, body language, microexpressions.
All those subtle skills that are just completely lost in digital communication.
Exactly. Outdoor play and screen-free activities are linked to better self-regulation and reduced anxiety because they happen in the real, messy human world.
Okay, so we're sold on the why. We know the disadvantages and we know the incredible advantages of a detox.
Right.
But now I want to get practical, because it's really easy to say, turn it off, but then you have a screaming toddler or a sullen teenager staring at you.
It is the ultimate parenting test.
Let's break down the solutions by age group, starting with the little ones. If we take the iPad away from a toddler, what do we replace it with?
For toddlers and preschoolers, it is all about sensory and motor skills. The sources had some fantastic low-mess ideas.
Oh, low mess. Now you were speaking my language.
One of the best ones was mess-free sensory bags.
What's that?
It's a great hack. You take a sealed Ziploc bag,
Yeah.
you fill it with hair gel and some buttons or beads, and you literally just tape it to the table or the floor.
Yeah, I love
The child can squish it, move the buttons around. It's tactile, it's visual and engaging, but it doesn't destroy your living room.
It's almost like a touchscreen, but it's actually real. It has physical resistance.
And it builds fine motor skills. Another big one is Play-Doh or kinetic sand.
Right.
Manipulating those materials builds the specific hand strength, the pincer grip, that they will eventually need to hold a pencil and write.
You definitely don't get that hand strength from swiping a smooth glass screen.
No, you don't.
And what about the imaginary side of things?
Dramatic play is huge. Dress-up clothes or even a mud kitchen outside, if you have the space for it. It encourages symbolic thinking.
Like pretending a stick is a spoon.
Exactly, or a leaf is a plate. That cognitive leap of using one object to represent another is a critical developmental milestone that screens often just do for you.
Okay, moving up the difficulty ladder. Teens.
The hard mode.
This feels like the boss battle of parenting. How do you get a teenager to unplug without starting a world war?
The key here, according to the research, is shifting the focus from entertainment to mastery.
Mastery.
Teens are looking for identity. Screens provide a very passive identity. We want to offer them active mastery.
So it's not just telling them to go play, but telling them to go get good at something.
Exactly. Take baking or cooking.
Okay.
It sounds simple, But baking is chemistry. It's math. It requires your full attention. You literally cannot scroll your phone while you are kneading dough or your bread will be terrible.
That's true. Your hands are covered in flour.
And at the end, you have a tangible result that you can eat and share with people.
You can't eat a high score in a video game. What else?
Zines were mentioned.
Taking mini magazines.
Yeah, it allows for artistic expression and personal voice, which teens really crave, but without the intense pressure of social media likes.
I love that.
Or vocational skills. Learning to change a tire, fix a car, or build something with wood, it built incredible self-reliance.
And music, right?
Yeah.
Learning an instrument.
Yes. Learning guitar or drums builds focus and memory. It is a long-term pursuit of mastery. It's frustrating at times, but overcoming that frustration builds resilience.
It proves to them that they can do hard things.
Exactly.
I really like that distinction between entertainment and mastery. Now, what about the family unit as a whole? How do we do this together?
You can start big, like a screen-free week, which historically used to be TV turn-off week.
Right.
It acts as a great catalyst.
Yeah.
But on a regular, everyday basis, it's about simple switches. Family game nights, scavenger hunts.
The scavenger hunts are fun.
The sources mention them specifically because they can be done indoors or outdoors, and they force you to look closely at your physical environment.
Okay, let's talk strategy. Because even with all these great ideas, implementation is the hard part.
It is.
How do we unplug without the fight?
The first rule is the absolute hardest one, modeling.
Parents have to lead by example.
Yes. We alluded to this earlier with the Technoference, but the research from Germany on infants was stark.
What did they find?
More parental screen time in the presence of an infant was related to slower motor and social development for the child.
Wow. So if I'm sitting there scrolling on my phone while telling my kid to go read a book, I've already lost.
Basically, yes. The message fails instantly. You have to eat your own dog food here.
That is a hard pill to swallow, but it makes total sense. We can't ask them to do what we aren't willing to do ourselves.
No, we can't.
What about structure? How do we set rules?
Establish zones and times.
Zones.
Keep bedrooms strictly screen-free. That protects the sleep hygiene we talked about earlier. Keep mealtimes screen-free to protect social connection. And create a sleep buffer.
What's the sleep buffer?
Turn off all screens at least 1 hour, ideally 2 hours before bed.
2 hours before bed. I can hear the teenagers groaning already.
I know.
How do you possibly sell that to them?
You don't frame it as a punishment.
Okay.
Don't say you've been on your phone too much, so I'm taking it away. Frame it as an addition.
Like we're going to do something else instead.
Right. We are going to build a fort. We are going to bake a cake. We are going to hike this trail. And start small. Don't go cold turkey for a month instantly.
Just a screen-free dinner.
Then a screen-free evening. Use a menu of activities so the kids feel they actually have a choice in the matter.
I really love the menu idea. It gives them their agency back.
It does. It moves them from being passive consumers of content to active participants in their own lives.
So let's recap where we've been on this deep dive. We started with the transfer deficit, that gap toddlers have in learning from flat screens.
We looked at the physical and psychosocial costs, too.
Right, the sleep loss, the Technoference from parents, all the disadvantages of excessive use.
But we explored the benefits of the detox, the healing power of green time, the absolute necessity of boredom for creativity, and the joy of mastery for teens.
We've covered sensory bags for the little ones, fixing cars for the teens, and the vital importance of parents putting their own phones down to stop that Technoference.
And if we connect this all to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the goal here isn't to ban technology forever. That's not realistic, and it's not even necessary.
Yeah.
The goal is just to ensure that technology doesn't displace the rich, tactile, and slow experiences that build a healthy brain and strong relationships.
We want screens to be a tool we use, not a place we live.
That is a perfect way to put it.
And this raises an important question for everyone listening to consider today.
It does.
We know from the research that green time and experiencing awe can actively reduce internet addiction. So could planning a simple device-free walk in the park actually be a more effective parental tool than installing a locking app on a smartphone?
That is definitely something to chew on.
Maybe the best parental control is literally just opening the door and going outside.
Thank you so much for breaking this all down with us.
My pleasure.
And everyone listening, go out and enjoy the 3D world. We will see you next time.